Good day. I'm Martin Gagel with Market Radius Research. It's Wednesday, July the 6th. We've got CEO Arnoud Busmann joining us, giving us a short business update and review of recent events at Minehub. Please remember, this is neither recommendation nor investment advice. We're here to learn about the company. Arnoud, thanks for joining us. You've had a whole string of news flow come out here over the last little while, and then yesterday, which seemed pretty significant, you announced a commercial agreement with BHP, one of the world's biggest or the world's biggest mining company, which seems pretty significant, possibly in commercial, but in just validation terms. So can you just remind viewers quick update on what Minehub does, and then just discuss the BHP agreement and maybe a little bit of history as how that's evolved, because you've been working with them for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Martin. Thanks for having me. Minehub is a technology platform, right? It's blockchain-based, focused on enabling the digital transformation of industrial supply chains, starting with mining and metals, where we enable companies to collaborate as businesses on a shared platform rather than current ways of working. So we drive a lot of transformation. We help companies improve the customer experience. We enable companies to prove or get much better at ESG disclosure, reporting, verification. We bring a lot of security and efficiency into supply chains, and we help companies with supply chain resilience through particular visibility, which is one of the big themes at the moment. We're all suffering from high inflation globally. A large part of that is driven by supply chain disruptions for many reasons, and we provide solutions for those challenges and opportunities. So we started out in 2018 as a company. Then 2019, with a focus group, we built an initial version of a platform that would start showing this dream of a digital supply chain. We worked with some companies to validate that. And in early 2020, we started working with BHP and one of their big customers, MHUB.V, the largest steel producer globally. We ran some experiments and some pilots to understand what such a platform would look like, what it needs to do, and what value it can bring to these big, massive cross-border trade flows. And that was in iron ore, and we had we did some PR on that in the summer of 2020. It gave us sufficient learnings to build the next iteration of our platform, which we brought out 6 months later and started testing in 2021, again with BHP as well, working with other giant groups like China Metals, Zijin, which was in the press, and but also expanding our collaborations. Now, so with the press release uses the word mature, which I think is very appropriate for what we're doing and where we are in our relationship with BHP. So what we're doing is not easy, right? We're using new technology. We are inserting ourselves in the most valuable supply chains on the planet to drive transformation. So there's a lot at stake, and the journey so far was one of innovation, partnering on co-creation, figuring out together what this new world will look like. And I guess at some point in the platform, we matured it to such a stage in the relationship that we are now able to provide that as a commercial service to our customers, including BHP.
Your platform works better the bigger the network is. So if one of your clients is communicating with another of your clients, it's all interconnected there. BHP is the big dog, so to speak, in the market. Do they get value out of, or how much value do they get out of it just using it on their own? And I guess once they start using it, the hope is that they're going to nudge, or their trade partners are going to adopt the system as well, and you'll benefit from that, and then you'll all benefit from the network effect of that.
Yeah, I think, I don't want to speak too much on BHP's behalf here, but large corporations, they're not short of systems. So we're not trying to replace and bring a new system into a company's footprint and provide a solution that's just for their company. We really step in between companies and the way they collaborate. So naturally, the value gets created, particularly as BHP or other companies start using it with their trade partners, whether they're customers, whether suppliers, service providers, all with a stake in real-time accurate information sharing. Now, the more partners are using the same platform, the more standardized your interaction with your business environment will become. So the value will increase exponentially with the size of the network that's in there. So for what we are doing and for benefits to accrue and accumulate exponentially for our user community, it's very important that we have some form of critical mass and that we get to that stage. And there are not many ways to get to critical mass. And if you do not work with some of the biggest enterprises in the industry, whether it's copper, whether it's iron, or the broader mining and metals like we do, it's very hard to achieve that critical mass. So that's why it's so important.
All right. Well, out of the theme over your last news releases, you just announced the BHP, you bills of lading with in Singapore, containerized cargo, trade waltz, and trade go. That's giving a lot of validation, I think, to that. Like if a trade hub like Singapore is going to work with you to develop e-bills of lading, BHP, and then these other trade networks in Japan and China. I don't know. I like it. I'm getting that. That's an easy. Like I'm throwing you at that. If that's not even a softball question, it's. Can you elaborate on that? Am I getting in the right direction? That you're getting a lot of validation and industry sort of buy-in.
Absolutely. I mean, we don't feel like the best kept secret anymore. I think the cat is out of the bag in terms of what we're working on. Again, coming back to creating value for entire ecosystems and supply chains, we need to create a network, power network that is not just consisting of ourselves, right? So interoperability, collaboration with other parties is hugely important because it will accelerate value creation. Let's start with Trade Waltz, for instance. Trade Waltz is a company that is backed by the government of Japan. It has some of the largest trading houses, Japanese trading houses as shareholders, as NTT, the big telco operator, the big operator in Japan, and other parties as shareholders. The mission for Trade Waltz is to really build like a trade window into Japan, coordinating Japanese services. Now, Japan is also a key focus for us because we've got customers there. Particularly, we mentioned Sumitomo in one of our press releases as a key partner. And to make the solution like Minehub valuable, or particularly extra valuable, when you import materials into Japan, you need to do that stuff, right? You need to have customs, you need to have insurance, you need to have local banks, etc. Now, we could go out to Japan and try and connect all those services in one go, but with Trade Waltz, they bring it to us. We connect and we tap into their network and we provide a full welcome to Japan service pretty much through the integration. But look at Singapore government, what we're doing there. Bills of lading are arguably the biggest drag on digitalization in trade. It's a paper document that still only has value as a paper document in most circumstances. There are electronic bills of lading in some commercial platforms that are getting decent traction, but still there's only a small part of the world's cargo is being shipped on the basis of electronic bills of lading. And so the mission, there's been regulatory changes. I won't go into the detail, but Singapore is leading the charge to go digital as a big trading hub on bills of lading, and has worked through some standards. And we were invited to also collaborate with the Singapore government on developing some of those standards, but particularly promoting them and validating in real life and helping to drive adoption of that. So it's a big deal because it's visible and it's an important mission for the industry.
You also announced most or bulk mining, like iron ore primarily in coal, I guess, are big bulk ships. But you've also announced on the container side of things, I guess some concentrates get shipped via containers, but it also, I would guess, opens up other commodity items that can be part of your system. Do I have that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a logical consequence of our journey. We really start at the mine side. We want to be there when the ore comes out of the ground, whether it's iron ore, whether it's concentrate. So we're there at the beginning, but we focus on mining and metals supply chain. So the next step after the mining company tends to be a smelter or a steel mill, and to add value to their environment, we can do that on the procurement side, but also on the sales side. So we had a couple of customers asking us, "Hey, can you do cathodes as well?" And cathodes are shipped in containers and not in bulk carriers. So we had a look at our application and say, "Yep, we should be able to do that." And within a couple of weeks, we had developed capability to help companies use container-based shipments in the trade flow, which is big because that opens up metal. So it's copper cathodes, blister, aluminium, lead, zinc, all those materials that are being shipped in containers are now suddenly part of our offering, able to support. And even better, some of our customers are looking further downstream already, beyond the copper smelter, going into copper wire companies, or looking at inbound shipments from equipment suppliers, tires, spare parts, fuel, explosives. All of them are being container shipped, and we now provide that total solution for anything that's seaborne. The next step will be to add trucks, warehouses into the logistics set.
Okay, so it's not just shipping of the concentrate or the ore. Like if they've got a container load of drill bits or explosives or whatever, their whole equipment and their their sellable product, all that can be sort of coordinated and put onto your platform.
Yeah, exactly, because we're solving supply chain problems largely, and the supply chain where we see big challenges, where companies suffer big challenges, is in the pure cost of operating these supply chains, the friction and information collection, verification, but also supply chain visibility, resilience, customer experience. To give you an example, if you buy a pair of socks from AliExpress in China, you'll get an SMS message every couple of days saying where it is. You know that it's going to arrive at your door tomorrow, and also the name of the guy that's going to hand it over to you, right? So, but if you buy $30 million of shipment of copper concentrate, you don't actually know where it is. You need to go and figure it out. You need to chase, you need to check, you need to make sure that the right stuff is actually being shipped. So it's not that trivial at that level. And that goes for, it's hugely important. If you're running operations, you want to know where your cathodes are, you want to know where your equipment are, because your operations and performance of that and continuity is dependent on availability of materials. It's cuts across everything. It's just that mining and metals as a domain and the industry is a really strong go-to-market focus for us. And then within that, we focus very much on market participants that are strong in iron ore, in copper, because those are really important minerals also for the energy transition. But with those participants, they've got usually other commodities that they sell, even refined metals, and they are big buyers themselves. So.
All right. So we should wrap this up here. What kind of, I'm thinking that in the coming back half of the year, we'll get maybe some more customer announcements, not to sort of be sneaky here, but what kind of product enhancements, customer announcements, new services, what kind of news flow should people be looking for?
I think it's going to be on the customer side and some of the partner side. We're working on some partnerships with important solutions that are out there in the market and some service providers. So you'll see some news on that, but it's going to be around customers more and more. I mean, coming back briefly to why the events of the news with BHP was quite important. Now, I'm not talking on behalf of BHP here, but for any company to go from 0 to 1 is a major step. It's one of the biggest steps. And
and when you say 0 to 1, you mean from being pre-commercial to you're now commercial. That's
correct. So going from 0 paying customers, but good partners, going to 1 paying customer, right? Yeah. So, and to have that with the 1 paying customer being arguably the most important company in the industry is helpful for that. So that's that in itself is great news for us as a startup and for I think for our shareholders. Now the next hardest thing is go from 1 till 2, right? And then from 2, the next 2 to 10. We're already working with them, right? We're working with a number of companies, so that's I think where the next the news is going to come out from once we start getting those companies on board. And the third thing is that the lack of digitization in the industry is I would arguably say it's obscene in this day and age, by the example that I just gave, right? So everybody knows that digitization is going to come. It's inevitable. The benefits are too huge, and but it's also something you don't want to make the wrong bet, in particular in conservative industry. So we know that there's a lot of fast followers because they tell us that they're fast followers. To be a fast follower, and to onboard somebody must be the leader, right? So the first one to go. And luckily, we're working with a couple of companies that are, including BHP, that are ready to go, which hopefully will help the other companies to join as well.
All right. Well, okay. Well, we got some good news flow to keep our eyes out for the remainder of the year. Thanks a lot, Arnoud, for joining us. Great seeing you, and all the best. And we'll hopefully talk to you again soon in a little while.
Absolutely. Thank you, Martin.
Cheers.
Have a good day then. Bye-bye.